The Toronto Blue Jays split their split squad games today against the Tigers and against the Phillies. They beat the Tigers and they lost to the Phillies. But what really stood out today was the debut of Ricky Tiedemann. Jose Berrios looked real good, so we'll break down all that and much more in this episode of Jays Digest. What's up, Jays fans? I'm your host, Peter Vryonis, alongside host Nick Gosse. Very happy to welcome Nick back. The live stream was a bit of a struggle, first time getting it up and running by myself, and I could see how hard it is to do everything. So I'm extra thankful to have Nick back for this episode, and we're gonna break down Ricky Tiedemann, what we saw in the Phillies game as well, and I was just super impressed from what I saw. So welcome in, Nick.
Yeah, thanks. You held it down with the live stream, and thanks everyone who tuned into the live the pregame that Peter hosted. And I'll be back for the next pregame. Got to be caught up today, but they're going to be happening throughout the year as often as we can do them. You guys seem to enjoy them, even on a weekday afternoon. We're still able to get a good amount of viewers. So thank you guys for tuning in. It is still up if you guys do want to go back and watch that. But we have a lot to get into today, as it was a crazy day in Jays land. And let's just get into it. But before we do, make sure to hit the subscribe button. We hit 6,400 subscribers today, and we're on the road to 6,500 before opening day. So make sure to hit that button. But let's get into the first topic and the main topic of the day that everyone was talking about, which is, of course, Ricky Tiedemann dominating. And the big thing here with Ricky Tiedemann, he was electric, and he hadn't made his debut at all for any of us Jays fans to see, and this is the first time. So before we show you guys some clips, I'll quickly pop up his pitch count here. So Blue Jays Ricky Tiedemann with a filthy spring training debut this afternoon. 1 inning, 2 strikeouts. Tiedemann struck out Javi Baez with a 99.4 mile per hour sinker, which we'll show you. And Peter, I'll get your thoughts on it now. Of course, we both watched his amazing inning. What were your thoughts on Ricky Tiedemann, or what impressed you most before we get into the couple of the clips that I got there?
Obviously, the 99 is what sticks out to you, but it's just his overall poise on the mound. These are not like some minor league hitters that are coming up to the plate for the Detroit Tigers. This is, Javier Baez, who's finished top 3 in MVP voting, who may have even, no, he didn't win an MVP, but he's finished top 3 in MVP voting with the Chicago Cubs. Austin Meadows, who's had a season hitting over 300 with the Tampa Bay Rays, who's one of the premier left-handed hitters in the league when he's healthy, and Matt Vierling, a guy who's nothing to laugh at either at the plate. So this is the middle of the Tigers order that he's going up against, and he's just effortless delivery, 99 on the corner, challenging them up in the zone, throwing all of his pitches for strikes, 12 pitches, 9 strikes. Like, what more could you ask out of the guy? I know it's spring training, it's low leverage, but if this is what we're going to see for years to come, then sign me up, man.
I agree, and a lot of people on Twitter are saying maybe we should call him up early, maybe we'll see him in September, maybe we'll see him earlier, but in case you missed it, here is the big thing that went viral on Twitter there. 99.4 miles per hour up, striking out Javi Baez. I'll show it one more time for you. He was absolutely electric today. He was dominating every single hitter that went into the box. And you also have his changeup here. The screenshot of the video got cut off, but you can kind of see it was an 86 mile per hour changeup for his second strikeout to end the inning. And everyone was super hyped about it. And I'll pop up a couple more screenshots before we move on. Ricky Tiedemann, which is very interesting. He had his little interview fresh off his scoreless inning. Says today was the first time he's hit 99 miles per hour in a game, which is pretty hilarious. He was clearly amped up, ready to show the Blue Jays what he got. And of course, Ben Nicholson-Smith saying impressive spring debut for Tiedemann, 2 strikeouts, and of course a groundout. So I don't know, unbelievable. It begs the question of whether he, I don't think he's going to start the season on the team, but he is making a push, and he might have to force himself in there.
Yeah, I wouldn't start him with the big league team. It's just not smart. He's still only 20 years old. You got to let him develop. Last year was his first full professional season, his first professional season. So you got to let him marinate a little bit in AAA, see how he does over there. I have no doubt in my mind that he's going to shine and dominate in AAA, but you got to give him time. Alek Manoah came up when he was 23, 24 years old. You can't rush Ricky Tiedemann up when he's 20 years old. The stuff is there. No one's denying him. No one's denying that he's going to be an ace in this league, or at least a superstar pitcher in this league. But you got to give him time, because if you do rush him and he has a couple of bad outings, that doesn't bode well for the remainder of his Blue Jays tenure.
Yeah, I agree, and it was a very good game overall from Ricky Tiedemann. There's not much more we could have asked for. It was great to see. And let's move on now to another pitcher, who is Jose Berrios, and he bounces back. Has this bit of a resurgence outing for all the people who are doubting him out there. two very clean innings for him. He looked good overall. And Peter, I'll let you touch on it because you watched the Phillies side of the game a bit more than I did. Obviously, I saw a bit of it in the few pitches. People were saying he did very, very well. And a quick screenshot I have from here in case you guys missed out on the Phillies game because obviously two of them are going on. He came away from his 2 innings against the Phillies today feeling good about how he maintained his adjusted mechanics and executed sinkers, getting ahead with different pitches and gaining comfort with the clock or big forces. And 47% of his pitches were sinker today and a lot of soft contact. So what did you see from him today that you liked or maybe didn't like? And overall, what were your thoughts on his performance out there today?
Yeah, I was very impressed. The overall movement on his pitches looked good. His slider was solid. I'd like to see a bit more strikes in there because, as you see in that screenshot that you just showed right there were 38 pitches that he threw, 36 pitches in those 2 innings. Now that's 18 pitches an inning on average. That's quite a bit. You know, you got to clean that up a little bit if you want to go deeper into games. But he looked good. You know, he was throwing that backdoor sinker, freezing guys for strikeouts. You know, the strikeout stuff looked there. He was just solid. Obviously, we're not going to overreact after one spring training outing because, you know, we tend to do that quite a bit. But, you know, he looked good. We expect a bounce back season out of him, and this is a good step in the right direction for him. We've got to
Yeah,
keep building on it.
I agree. The movement looked great from the little bit that I saw, and it was very good to see Jose Berrios because obviously a lot of people were looking at Chris Bassett on the Detroit side of the game. But I was, like I said in yesterday's video, I was curious to see how Berrios would handle his, this is his first start back from obviously his poor year last year. And obviously this time last year, we were talking about him as the opening day starter. That certainly doesn't seem to be happening this year, but it was good to see him bounce back. And I don't know, overall, very good day for the pitcher size of Jays in Jays land, which we're going to discuss a little bit more here at the end. But before we do, just a little quick thing on Matt Chapman, which in case you guys missed it, which I hope you didn't, I'm sure you saw it around Twitter, one of the better plays I've seen, whether it's spring training or not. Absolutely phenomenal play, and I'll pop it up right here for you guys right now. Liner to third base, diving catch, one hop, obviously snagged by Gold Glover Vladdy over there. What were your thoughts when you saw this? I texted you immediately. That was an unbelievable play, and it happened when the announcers were also talking about Chapman's range a little bit, so it kind of worked out well. But
Yeah.
he's unbelievable.
He's reminding everyone who the top dog is at third base. So all this chatter about Addison Barger taking his job next season, you know, it's okay if we let Matt Chapman go. We got Addison Barger over there. And then Matt Chapman says, hey, settle down now. Let's remember who I am over here at third base. And he makes that play look so effortless. His arm around like across the diamond is second to none. And everyone, you know, Buck Martinez even said it the other day. He said Barger might have the best arm in the entire organization. And then Matt Chapman unleashes a cannon probably over 92 miles an hour across the diamond while his momentum is taking him away. And, you know, the guy's just a stud defensively. If he can contribute a little bit more consistently with the bat, then he's going to be in the MVP conversation. He might not win it, but he'll definitely be in the mix once it's all said and done. And he's that type of player when he's going right.
Yeah, I fully expect him to have a bounce back year, both offensively and defensively, simply because, of course, the shift is gone, which will help his numbers overall. And he played very well at third base last year, but I think metrics-wise, for those who follow that, it'll be better. But let's get into now the stars of the day and, just talk about who we think stood out. And I'll go ahead and start, and then I'll let you take over because, of course, we have a lot of players to go over here. I'm just going to quickly mention the two that I noticed specifically. There's tons. We're obviously going to miss a couple. Anthony Bass had a phenomenal outing. Looked great. Obviously, he may have gotten lost in the whole Ricky Tiedemann hype, but he did absolutely phenomenal. And Bo Bichette as well looked very, very good at the plate. He looks patient. Of course, he's always going to be great at the plate, but he looked very good. And Santiago Espinal as well, which I'm sure you'll touch on now in a minute, looked very, very good. And came in a day where Whit Merrifield didn't have the best day at the plate, which I don't think is really going to impact too much, but it's going to be an interesting battle for the second base spot. But who did you see stand out today for you?
Yeah, well, I'll touch a little bit on what you finished on over there. Santiago Espinal, right now, at this moment in time, has the edge over Whit Merrifield in the competition for who's going to be the everyday second baseman. He's hitting 714 so far in the spring, which small sample size, of course, so take it with a grain of salt. But, you know, he's putting bat on ball. He's not striking out at all, and obviously his defense, we know it's going to be there. So he looked very good. I found the defense overall just looked very good. Everyone did their part, especially in the Detroit game. And Kevin Kiermaier, I thought, was very good today as well. Hit the ball hard a couple of times, one time the other way. And in the Phillies game, obviously Jose Berrios was very good. And Yasver Zulueta was another guy that really stood out to me. He had a 6-pitch 1-2-3 inning. He was touching 98, 99 on the mound, and he just looked solid. There was a lot of standouts in today's game, but it's impossible to touch on all of them.
Yeah, there was tons. And let us know your standouts because, of course, I'm sure they'll be different. Biggio looks very good out there as well. And I saw a tweet by
Yes.
I think it was a tweet by
Yes,
Keegan
Biggio.
Matheson saying that he might get more playing time, or might be more of an impact than we originally have thought, and making it very, very tough on John Schneider and the other coaches with everyone playing so well. And one final thing I'll touch on before we move on is it was very interesting to see Matt Chapman. I believe it was a pop out, and then or a sacrifice fly is what it ended up being. And then he went immediately to the dugout and spoke to Victor Martinez about his at bat. It was very interesting seeing Victor Martinez there. It kind of just goes to show that the Blue Jays are building a powerhouse staff. They also have Don Mattingly there, but it was very interesting to see. Do you have anything to touch on before we wrap it up?
Yeah. Yeah, I just want to touch on Kevin Biggio, and I can't believe I forgot him again, and he's been really good so far this spring, just doing everything that's asked of him. So he's started games at first base, second base. Now he's starting in right field, and in the first inning of that game, he
Great
makes
play.
a sliding grab and then a double play to get the Jays out of a jam when Chris Bassett started off slow. And if he can do that, if he can play above average defense wherever they put him, then he's going to have a spot on this team because I truly believe he's the best base runner that the Blue Jays have. And, that's no slight on anyone else. He's just that good on the base paths. He's that smart on the base paths. So we've been disrespecting him all offseason long. We've been saying, is he bidding his time right now? Is his spot kind of getting taken over by Addison Barger? Is he even going to play 40 games this year? Things of that magnitude. And now he's just shutting us all up, and he's playing really good baseball from what we've seen so far in the spring. So shout out to Kevin Biggio, and I want to see it all year long.
Yeah, it's great. It looked like we have a lot of players ready to commit, and Chris Bassett as well he looked all right. Control issues, not quite in sync with Danny Jansen there at throughout the game, but we'll digress. We can't touch on everyone, but hopefully you guys enjoyed the pregame show by Peter and as well these postgame videos. You've been showing tons of support. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. We're with you all season long, and we'll see you in tomorrow's video.
Thanks.